girls don't and real men score, to that construct that the abstinence until marriage people tell us, sex is dirty, so save it for the one you love. You realize that there's a lot that goes on in our heads that really determines how we are sexually. In terms of spirituality, the way that I see that, and have had thousands of women and also men describe it to me, it's not about religion per se. It's about how we reach out and connect with one another, or how we reach out beyond ourselves to connect with a power that's greater than ourselves.
I'd like to ask that a little part about sexual spirituality in its own question.
Okay.
So a woman who's looking for specific information doesn't start where we started to find it, okay?
Got it.
So the question would be, how do you describe sexual spirituality for women?
When women talk about sexuality, they're talking about it more as an energy than as an act, a single act or action. Intercourse, which is known as the sex act, is definitely sexual, but it's only a small part of all else that can go on. If you think that we have bodies that are way beyond our clitoris or our vagina, a few cubic inches of mucous membrane. We have fingers and toes, we have noses, lips, foreheads, eyes, armpits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all of these can be extremely sexually satisfying and interesting. One woman said, I don't know where in my body I'm not orgasmic. I think I need to be mapped. And this is particularly important, I think, when I'm talking with women who may have physical disabilities, who may have no feeling below the chest or below the waist, that there are ways to erogenize and honor all parts of our bodies.
Perfect. What advice do you give to a woman who may feel numb in areas that would typically be pleasure zones?
Many women I've found who come in to see me have numbed themselves. And I'm not now talking about spinal cord injury. I'm talking about women who are walking around looking perfectly normal, whatever you think normal may look like, who have had histories of abuse, who have had histories of terrible messages about sex, who have had histories of upbringing in families or schools or religions that squeeze them into such a tight box that they don't feel they can be real. And one of the ways that these women cope with this, particularly if it's happened as a young age and happened repeatedly, is that they just begin to not feel. And they begin to not feel physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. So they're literally turned off. And advice is a tough word, because I don't so much give advice as I listen to women tell me their stories. And depending on what their story is, I may ask them some questions or suggest whether it's even physically brushing their body all over with a brush, or going out and smelling beautiful flowers, or finding some kind of sensation or some kind of poetry or thoughts or feelings of love, whatever it is, that begins to filter in through this numbness, where they begin to be able to identify some kind of feeling that they can own as theirs. So basically, it's about learning to open up the heart, open up the mind, look around, open up your senses. You kind of have to be there to get it.
I don't think so. I think I got it, and I wasn't at your session, so you explained it very well. At Empower, we focus on women sharing their stories, and you've spent a considerable amount of your career hearing women's stories. What is the value a woman receives for telling her story?
I have spent a lifetime hearing women's stories. If you count my young years with a very crazy mother who told me her stories, and I bless that mother now because I feel that she probably gave me the best training I ever had in being able to put aside my own prejudices and really listen with an open heart. So what I do in the trainings that I run, in the ISIS circles that I run, is I ask each woman to